This is Terry House from the Talkback Fans Podcast, and you're listening to the BBQ Central Show with the incomparable host, Greg Rippey.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh, should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
To the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important to the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast, points east and west as well. I am your aforementioned program host, Greg Rippey. Happy to have you right here on your Tuesday live fire fun and frivolity show. Let's start making that a thing. That's what I want. The new saying used to be we'll do it live. Before that, it was get in the smoke. The new catchphrase of the show, aside from cats pissing all over my house, and I do have an update about that I'll get to here in a second, maybe. But the new catchphrase of the show, I want to be the live fire fun and frivolity show. That's what I want. That would look great on a t-shirt. Barbecue Central Show, logo on the front, and on the back, it would just say live fire fun and frivolity show. And people would read it and go, what the hell is that all about? And they would perhaps be forced to ask you, what does your shirt mean? And then you could then you could infect them with the Barbecue Central Show knowledge and tell them to subscribe to the podcast at the very least, watch the show at the very most live every Tuesday from 9 to 11. Anyway, I've gotten way off track. Happy to have you aboard here. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, here's how you do that.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Everything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening. Coming up in about 12 minutes from now, it's the second Tuesday of the month. And in the first hour, that can only mean one thing. A visit from Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Rejoining us. Meathead is already on fire, telling me that he knows for a fact that I have stopped playing his walk-on music, which is a song that he has penned himself and paid for a real live professional singer to sing. Unfortunately, in my estimations, it's one of the worst songs I've ever heard. So I want a song that motivates, that really gets us going, ready to rock and roll, all that good stuff. You can't hurry ribs while the fun play on words isn't what I would call a walk-up song or an intro song or get... A song that gets you pumped up is Cell Dwellers' Switchback that I play right before. That's the song that I'm playing as I come into the show. When I say, hey, welcome to the fun and frivolity show, that's the rock and roll music that's playing. The bumpers that I have here on the show, that gets me jacked up. That's why I have them. You Can't Hurry Ribs is fun, tongue-in-cheek. I feel a little bad that you paid for that. And if I forget to play it every time, every month, unless you threaten that you're never going to show up again, I'm probably not going to play it. That's why. Also because I forget. But Meathead will be here in the first hour, never fear. Then we'll move to the second hour. Oh, baby. We got it all locked and loaded. 14 past the second hour. Hardcore Carnivore founder, live fire expertise, Jess Pryles rejoins the show. Purveyor of fine rubs and gear, college student, graduate student maybe. And plenty to talk about with Jess, including the just keep flipping method that I think she would own up to the fact that she didn't find or is the founder of this method. I remember hearing I won't even get into it. But we'll be talking about that as well because she's really been promoting the just keep flipping method. So we'll talk about that, of course. And then coming out of the bullpen, first timer to the show, a host of his own podcast, and what they call a chef's liaison for a company an hour south of me in Wooster, Ohio, Brian Shoppe from Certified Angus Beef. Oh, there's a burgeoning relationship here coming, perhaps, if not. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'll still remain doing my fun and frivolity when all of the social media influencers are invited to Wooster to go to their beef shenanigans, and I stop down and take a selfie in front of the sign and then drive away with my tail between my legs. I love doing that. I would miss doing that, actually. So that's how the show lines up for you. If you didn't notice, you can still follow me socially at BBQ Central Show on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snappy Snaps /BBQ Central Show on Facebook. Also, we are going live back again to YouTube against my better judgment. We are also going live video stream to something called twitch.tv /BBQ Central Show. I try and keep it similar in setup and concept and ways to find things, even though we're on different platforms. We're off and running. I can see comments on every single video platform that we are going to. So I see everything coming in through Facebook. I see everything coming in through YouTube. I can cast those up on the screen if I am so inclined, but I don't want to get lost in the chat. But for those of you that were relentlessly banging on me for getting off of YouTube, I'm back on YouTube. And there's a whole thought to that. I'm not even going to get into it. First and foremost, as we get to some house cleaning, we want to wish a special happy birthday to third Tuesday of the month regular guest, founder of GrillGirl.com, Robin Lindars, who turned 68 today. Congratulations, Robin. Hope you have a great birthday. Email from Tim in Kansas. Fact check. Greg, before Sam the cooking guy came on last week, you said fourth Tuesday of the month. Was this show pre-recorded, and have we caught you in a slip-up? Good question, Tim. The fact of the matter is, if you listen to the whole segment, and yes, I did misspeak, or I misspoke, but again, if you listen all the way through the segment, you would have heard me refer to him as the first Tuesday of the month guest as well. So indeed, I corrected myself without even knowing that I had misspoke because, as you recall, he came on out of turn last month and helping me out. Good try to catch me up on a slip-up, Tim. But again, what's the benefit me of promoting a live show and going to do it live only to do it pre-recorded? That's bag move number one. What have we learned here? While I have tremendous bag qualities, pulling bag moves is not something that I'm trying to do here on this show. I'm not trying to put one over on you or pull the wool over your eyes or hoodwink you, all these things. Julie Reinhardt is in the chat. Holy she smoke. Look out. What's up on the Pacific Northwest, Julie? How are you? Mike in Boston emails the show. Greg, your cat pissing rant was one of the best to date in the history of the show. When you said Piscapades, I laughed out loud. That's right, I said Piscapades last week. If you missed that rant, it's the top of the second hour where usually you will find the most well-placed rants. And as I had mentioned a couple minutes before, there is a Piscapade update. While we have proliferated my new to house to me with feel away or flee away or whatever the hell you call the pheromone diffusers. There's like 10 in my house now that's supposed to make the cat calm and all this other stuff. While the cat hasn't pissed in the house in a week, we have also implemented a regimen of Prozac for the cat. Much to the cat's chagrin and dismay. Because, as I had mentioned before, the cat has anxiety. On top of pissing in my house, he is now being overrun with cat pheromone to make him feel safe. And we are also trying to force down near 2 milliliters of Prozac. But I'm telling you, as much as he wanted to pee all over my house, that cat is relentless in not letting me stick that plunger full of Prozac medicine down his gullet. And you would figure, for as fat as that cat is, he would be happy to take anything. Prozac probably has some calories. It's only going to make him feel better. Hopefully it doesn't make him want to pee all over my house. But we're a week in for the better. But that's what's happening. The cat is now officially on Prozac. A cat's dose of Prozac. I wish I was making it up, but I'm not making it up. Oh, by the way, special shout out to my dad who cracked some ribs and suffered a mild concussion on a terrible walking accident last week. So we hope you're feeling well, Pops. I had a whole bit planned for that, but I don't think that's going to fit in tonight. But you never know what happens. Guests could fall out, and all of a sudden we're in the middle of something. Meathead will be joining me coming up here in a minute. I'll talk to you quickly about Green Mountain Grills before Meathead pops into the green room. Some of the best pellet cookers out there in the market today. And let me tell you, there's a choice line. There's a prime line. Choice line. So for the entry-level cook, for somebody that wants to save a couple $100, for somebody that doesn't want to have all of the technical wiles and technical capabilities, for instance, a Wi-Fi or 2 internal meat probes, or internal looking glasses into the main cooking chamber in the pellet hopper. You can save some money, still get the same size Jim Bowie or Daniel Boone in the choice line, but you're saving a couple $100. Now, if you want to spend a couple $100 extra, now you get the tech, you get the Wi-Fi, the 2 internal meat probes, the look-in windows where I just told you. You get a more solidly built chassis, and then they have Prime Plus now, which is just a few more bucks on top of the Prime line. That gets you things like internal lamps and the meat cooking chamber, just to name a few. If you want to figure out which one is white or right for you, go to the website, greenmountaingrills.com, and check out everything that they have to offer, and then find a dealer near you, because Green Mountain Grills pulls through dealers. Green Mountain Grills experiencing a great year, as much of the live fire industry is, especially if you're in the business. Talked to Jason Baker a couple days ago, and things are going very well. Product flying off the shelves. So, find a dealer, go check one out, have them educate you, and then you're off and running when you get it to the house. No need to bring it back, because buyer's remorse is taken care of right up front. GreenMountainGrills.com is the place to go. Meathead is coming up, hopefully, after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher's Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils. All of Butcher Barbecue products tested on the competition circuit, as well as backyards worldwide. Backyards like mine, by the way. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood and visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. I believe I saw Dave release a brand new episode in his podcast feed as well. So if you're not listening to the Butcher Barbecue Podcast, you're doing yourself a disservice. Really good podcast out there in the barbecue and grilling world. So do all that. Always trust your butcher. It is the second Tuesday of the month. You know what that means? We race for the hotline. And welcome back, friend of the show, Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. Hey, Meathead.
Hey, hello. How is the Hall of Fame's?
Hall of Fame?
And
what am I doing? Are we a Hall of Fame?
The Hall of Fame city?
The Rock and Roll. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city.
The Rock and Roll Hall of
That's
Fame
right.
city.
And
but you are also the center of the Hall of Fame announcements and
yes,
all of that stuff.
Right. Not a active member yet. We're working on that. As you are too. We're both really trying hard.
I don't think either of us is getting in.
I don't think so either, but it's great to isn't it fun, more fun to talk about? I mean, if we got in, then what would we talk about at least 2 months out of the year?
You know what I want it for? I want it so that all these schmagaggies on YouTube and Facebook who want to argue with me, I want to just be able to say, hey, when you're in the Hall of Fame, then I'll listen to you.
That's right. You want to drop the hammer on these people with the Hall of Fame.
You know, the social media world, don't get me started.
Oh.
It is so full of silliness.
Are you not a fan of social media?
No, I'm not at all. I could live without it. You know, there's just an awful lot of Billy the Kids out there trying to shoot down Marshall Dillon. And, you know, when we post something of interest that we know to be true, there are just people who want to argue. But, you know, that's the world of social media.
Right.
I've learned to live with it because it's a promotional vehicle. It's a broadcast medium to me. I use Twitter and Facebook to share, but it's not a very good receiving medium. It's not a good two-way medium.
So if you could, you would just be happy to be done with it. It's a means to some type of an end to you. That's it.
I would walk away in a minute. I mean, yeah. But hey, I want to. You know, on fire about my theme song.
We're on fire.
I just sent you a note and said, "How come you don't play my theme song anymore?"
Yes.
I wasn't on fire, but now I'm on fire.
You are?
You dissed it. It's a good. I need you next time I'm on.
Hold on.
To play my walk-on theme song and let the audience vote. I think it's a good song. You can't hurry ribs. You just gotta wait. So it's a good song.
Hold on. I got it right here.
You got it?
I mean, of course I have.
Well, let the world vote.
Okay, wait a second. I got to make a few adjustments on my situation here. All right, So, and by the way, I do have YouTube and Facebook comments up here. So if you are so inclined to weigh in on if this is a walk-up song, is that what you call it? A walk-up song?
There you go. Ask people. Like it or dislike?
Like or dislike. Let's make sure we got the proper volume on it. Here we go for your listening pleasure and for your votes.
I need ribs to ease my day. I need to find time to cook them right. My papa said, can't hurry ribs. No, you just have to wait. He said, ribs don't come easy.
It's a game of time and temp.
You can hurry.
You know the words better than I do.
You just have to wait. Just trust in the
low and slow.
No matter how long it takes.
All right, now everybody vote on it. Look at this.
You just got to
Worst song ever.
The reason you don't play it anymore is you keep forgetting because you're absent-minded. You know, all that gray hair, I got it too. Gray hair is just gray matter that has leaked out. All your brains are on the sideburns of your head.
How dare you? You said that I am absent-minded? Meathead, my recall of anything is unquestionable. It could hardly. Here you go. Right away, we'll go to some instant feedback. That song, Weak. What are you gonna do?
Weak.
Weak. Okay.
Who is that week?
Here you go. Here's a friend of yours right here weighing in. Dino Dan. That's a no-no. Okay.
No.
Yeah. Here we go. A guy from a magical paradise called Hawaii, Lance Owen, saying no go. Oh, boy. You're not
playing the negative response.
No. Here we go. Here's a Big Al weighing in from YouTube. Song is okay. C average. How about that?
I'll take it.
Here's live fire cooking expert Julie Reinhardt from the Pacific Northwest. It's long, but in the spirit of not being a social media douche, good on you for making it. There's kind of a positive one from Julie. Just a quick scan.
Julie's got a great smile. I love her.
Oh, yeah. Julie, did you ever read that book, She Smoke?
Something.
What?
Yeah. You said something in the warm-up.
Yeah.
Robin is 68?
Yes, Robin is 68 years old.
All right, now I got to tread lightly here. I got to tread real lightly here in the Me Too era.
Yes.
But
yeah, careful.
Robin just does not look 68.
Well, believe it or not, she is as 68 as they come.
45.
No, Robin is 68 years old. Believe it. Take it to the bank. Unbelievable. It's amazing.
Robin is
that Florida sun. That Florida sun will treat you right, I guess, huh?
Eating all that citrus down there.
Right. Oranges, limes. What else do they have down there? Although you're more of a fan of, like, Michigan fruit, aren't you?
Oh, I'm a cold... Well, I used to have a career in wine, and I have learned that fruit grown in cool climates is better balanced. You get a better sugar-acid balance.
Yeah.
I mean, all the great wines in the world are grown in fairly cool climates. And the same is true for peaches. You have been following me on social media, obviously.
Oh, right.
Because I've been raving about Michigan and Washington peaches this summer.
Yeah.
The white peaches, the Freestone peaches, have just, you eat them over the sink.
Mm-hmm.
And they run down your chin, your arm. They're fantastic. It's been a great summer for pit fruits and particularly the cold climates. And I love me Georgia and South Carolina barbecue, but although Georgia is known as the peach state, South Carolina makes more peaches than Georgia does. And both of them I like, but they're just really rich and intense, and they just lack the acidity of the cool climate peaches. So for me, Michigan, Washington, Oregon peaches, they've been fantastic this summer.
Meathead, before we get into a couple of the other topics, and we've touched on it before, but Friday is going to be the 19th anniversary of September 11th, 2001. As you look back now, almost 19 years ago, thoughts on that day and where we are 19 days in advance, especially given the time that we're in this year?
Unbelievable. I was, like so many others, I work from home, so I'm here in my office, and directly over my shoulder, you can see a dark doorway, but that's the dining room. There's a TV in the dining room. And, I heard something about it on the radio, and I went in and turned the dining room TV on just in time to see the second plane hit. And it was the same breathtaking, frightening moment for me as for everybody else. I had a little bit of irony involved. I was scheduled to fly from Chicago to Ithaca, New York on the 12th. I was a frequent speaker at the Cornell University School of Hotel Management. I spoke on wine every semester, and that trip obviously was canceled. Nothing flew over for weeks. But, it's an event that has totally changed the world. It's up there. You know what we're going through now, COVID, is something we're all going to look back on and wonder what life was like before COVID. Will we shake hands again? Will we hug again? I've traveled in the Orient, and so many people in Asia wear face masks prior to COVID. Will we be a society where many people just wear face masks as a matter of routine? The thing about the face masks, and I wear them all the time, the thing about face masks that is so frustrating is you can't see people smile. Cashiers, waitresses, people on the street. Boy, how many times have we been taught to share a smile, to lift someone up with a smile? And that just has is lost right now. We've just been through too many tragedies.
Indeed. Meathead from AmazingRibs.com joining me here on the show as he does the second Tuesday of every month. Appreciate you sharing that with me, Meathead. So let's move on a little bit. I know you're...
One other thing I wanted to touch base on that you mentioned in your intro.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm a huge fan of Jess Pryles.
Yes.
But this Just Keep Flipping stuff,
yes.
She's really made a mission of this, and it's a great mission because it really works. It's really important. But this has been around for a long time.
I don't think there's any dispute of that. I don't think she would say that she's created it. But she certainly
invent or discover this. Yeah. I mean, Harold McGee, Kenji Lopez-Alt, and I and others have been talking about it for a long time. The whole concept is we have to stop thinking about heat, and we need to think about energy. And there is energy pushed onto the surface of food. And it builds up in the surface and it works its way towards the center. And if you flip, the energy bleeds off into the atmosphere. And so you get a much more even temperature in the center. If you don't flip, then you get this layering effect or the rainbow effect of a dark exterior, then a layer of brown, then a layer of tan, and finally it's medium rare in the center. And the same holds true for chicken, turkey. Flip, 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 the human rotisserie. Especially during the searing process. A great technique, and I applaud Jess for pioneering or championing it.
Yep, making it very popular these days, undoubtedly. One of the things that we have talked about in many versions of our visits over the years, Meathead, is barbecue on television, and it's something that we haven't seen really in any number of years, probably for any number of reasons, perhaps. There was some watching fatigue. Perhaps it became a little too mundane for everybody, or perhaps it just hit its crescendo and faded out and ran its life cycle like so many other things do here in our society. But on the 18th of November, a little upstart called Netflix is trying their hand at something called the American Barbecue Showdown. When I watched the trailer, and I don't want to take a dump on barbecue television because it's always a weird dichotomy for me because I'm just not
God forbid Greg is ever negative about anything. Mr. Positivity.
I don't want to be contrarian, but sometimes I'm forced. Personally, and I'm obviously continually in the minority here because these types of shows are very popular. The Chopped type shows, the contest type shows. It's just not appealing to me. That's the first part. Then there's the weird dichotomy. I usually know most of the contestants that are appearing on these shows, so I want to have them on. I want to promote them. I want to hype them. I want to get good ratings, all this stuff. However I can help, and I want to see them all do well. But I'm always caught in this weird vacillating position, and my thought is, for instance, a longtime Centralite, an incredibly accomplished competition cook, Sylvie Curry, is on the show on the 18th. In fact, she will be on in 2 weeks' time, and we'll talk about...
We all love Sylvie.
Yes, absolutely, and she'll be a little less reined in. I was going to try and have her on tonight, but there was going to be a lot of hurdles for her to have to navigate, and I didn't want to do that. So in 2 weeks after it airs, that 22nd show, she'll be on, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more freely. But as you watch the trailer, and I guess you're assuming what the show might be like, what are some of your first thoughts, and are you excited? Do you, A, have a Netflix subscription, and would you watch if you do?
Yeah. Well, I really, first of all, I watch a lot of Netflix, especially during COVID. They've been doing some great stuff. And they have 2 series now, this one, and there's another one, Chef's Table, that focuses on barbecue. And they both look to be a notch above average. The thing about these cooking contests, whether it's Netflix or anywhere else, is that I don't learn much from them. Now, when the first ones came out by John Marcus, whom I know is a friend of yours,
personal friend,
and mine as well, and appears on the show regularly, John did the first Pitmaster competition, and it was really fascinating, and it was really attracted a lot of attention. At the time, I was doing a weekly column in Huffington Post, and so I just started doing a weekly roundup of what happened on the show. But what frustrated me then, and still does, is that it's all about the personalities. It's all about the conflict. It's all about winning and losing. It's all about, they all take the chef's pose, arms crossed. They go, I'm kicking ass today, And I've been invited to cook on a couple of these things, and I just can't do that. I just don't think. First of all, I think if I went on one of these shows, I'd probably get my ass kicked, and that would ruin my reputation. But
would it?
Oh God, yes. All the posturing and posing, and the famous scene of Diva Q dissing her husband on national TV, now her former husband. I hope that if they do it right, we can learn something. We can learn a few tricks and techniques, learn something about the cuts of meat. I'm really glad to see they're cooking on Lang 48s. Now, for those who are listening and don't know what a Lang 48 is, this is a stick burner, a real log burning barbecue pit. In a lot of these previous contests, there have been a variety of cookers, but they're all using exactly the same pit, and they're using a pit that requires skill. Burning logs ain't easy. Burning logs requires fire management skills, and if you screw up, the flavor is bad. And so these people are going to have to really control fire, not just have a fancy injection or a sauce or a rub. There's a lot of complexity. Oh, there's a picture of the Lang 48.
There it is.
Yeah, it's a nice machine. I had a Lang 36 for a long time. Loved it. It's a reverse flow, and it is a tool that cooks exceedingly well if you know how to use it. You've got to work with it. You've got to control it. You have wood and oxygen, and you have to have the right amount of wood, the right amount of oxygen, and if you get too much of one or the other, you got issues. So that's something alone. Also, I think that Melissa Cookston as a judge is a good choice. She's a fine cook. I don't know the other judge very well.
Kevin Bludso.
I know of him. Yeah, I know of him, but I don't know him personally, and I don't know much about him. But I would think that having more than two judges would be good. But whatever. I'm looking forward to watching it. It should be fun.
Are you watching The Chef's Table with Tootsie Dominance as well? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't yet. I will watch it, though. I've watched a lot of the Chef's Table shows because I do learn from them. There's an awful lot of interesting concept and technique, a lot of very chefy stuff. And the idea that they've turned their microscope on barbecue will be interesting. So I'm looking forward to that. It's just that my wife recently retired, so we're home together at night, and we watch a lot of movies. We just watched Cinderella on Disney Plus the other night.
Look at you, catching up on the oldies and the goodies, I see.
Well, no, not the cartoon version.
Oh.
The actor version. The I don't know what they call it with real actors.
Like the Broadway
really
version?
Good.
Wow.
No, it was
live.
Lily, what's her name? It was just it was with real actors. It was good.
All right. Meathead is joining us here from AmazingRibs.com. Meathead, you stand by, and I will be right back with you, and we'll talk about seafood on the grill, and we will also talk about apples on the grill. Of course, as I was promoting that here over the last couple days, you can only imagine hearing apples on the grill and the other stuff that we've talked about on this show on the grill. So we'll get to that. I'll talk to you quickly about the BBQ Guru. These folks created automatic pit temperature control devices. Are there other pit temperature control devices out there? A few. But why would you buy from somebody else when you can deal with the originators of the technology and ones who continue to revamp and then offer new product offerings making it better and better each time. The BBQ Guru has always believed that outdoor cooking can be easy and fun, especially when you're using their BBQ Guru controllers, or if you're using one of their 2 cookers that they offer right now. They have a ceramic cooker called the Monolith that has a built-in power draft fan already in the bottom of it. So in your luck, if you have a BBQ Guru temperature-controlled device already, you hook it to the power draft fan at the bottom of the Monolith, and you're off and running. Also, great new situation because you get all these accessories that some of the other Kamado companies are charging you an arm and a leg for, or nickel and diming you for. Then you have the shotgun cooker, more of a cabinet style, that also completely compatible with any of the BBQ Guru temperature-controlled devices. If you're not sure of what you need, please call them. 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Or or visit the website and see what they have to offer. BBQGuru.com. That's BBQGURU.com. All right, we are back with more Meathead from AmazingRibs.com. And we're talking about seafood, and we're talking about fruit. And if you have some Facebook or YouTube questions for Meathead, throw them up. I'll cue them off, and we'll answer them before the segment ends here this evening. So stick around, and we'll be right back.
Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the BBQ Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets. For all of your pellet-driven cookers, visit CookinPellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can also buy them from Amazon.com as well if you would prefer. But it doesn't matter. It works in all of your pellet-driven pits. Don't worry about any of that. It's not breaking any warranties, or it won't not work in this cooker or that cooker. I have a number of pellet cookers. They work on every one, and they're great. CB and the gang over there. All right, Meathead, thanks for hanging with me through the break there. Let's talk about seafood first. I wanted to go apples, but let's save apples for the end here. Let's talk about seafood because we've often heard on this show that if you weren't going to be Meathead, you were going to be Fishhead because of where you originally started out there in the Florida coast, going to University of Florida and so forth. So let's talk a little bit about seafood and the grill, and perhaps one of the biggest scams going, and I kind of fell for it, and you set me straight there a number of months ago, which is sea bass, or perhaps Chilean sea bass. There's a whole situation going around there that, as a consumer, you need to watch out for.
Yeah, well, you remember, and for those of your listeners who don't tune in every week or know me that well, I was raised on both coasts of Florida. I also lived on the coast of Maine for a while, on Long Island Sound. So I'm an East Coast fisherman. I was born with a fishing rod in my hand. My dad always had a boat. We did a lot of fishing, and I do love seafood, and I would be Fishhead if I still lived on the East Coast. But I'm now in the Midwest, and there is one truism about fish, and that is the fresher the better. If you can pull it out of the ocean and club it over the head so it's dead, scale it, gut it, and cook it, it don't get any better than that. If you've got to ship it to Chicago or Minneapolis, it's going to lose a couple of days, maybe more, and it deteriorates rapidly. The other thing that's important, and this is key in shopping for fresh fish, is that if it's fresh, it needs to be kept laying in contact with ice. If it's on a plastic pan or a sheet of plastic and ice is underneath, that's good. But when you lay fish right on ice, there's a very thin layer of water between the skin of the fish and the ice. And the warm fish melts the ice and creates this layer of water. And that water keeps the fish hydrated and keeps it moist. And that's really important. You need to keep it cold. You don't necessarily want to freeze it. So you want to keep it cold and moist. And if you put it on a plastic styrofoam sheet or something like they like to do, you're preventing that. Now, the grocers, the fishmongers like to do that because if they don't, then they have to throw the ice out at night and they have to make new ice. And ice is expensive. It takes energy, but it's the best way to handle fish. So when you go shopping for fish and you see a fishmonger where the shrimp or the fish are laying on top of ice, they're telling you, we know how to handle seafood. Huh. So that's the first thing. Always, in any form of cooking, whether it's low and slow barbecue, brisket, or whatever, raw material, start with the best you can get, and that's the first thing. Now, if you can't get fresh fish, I would rather have fish that is blast frozen or fast frozen at sea or right at the docks, because when you freeze meats, it forms ice crystals. You may remember high school physics. Water expands when it freezes, and ice crystals are sharp. So whether it's ribs or fish, if you just pop it in your home freezer, it's going to take time to freeze. It's going to form ice crystals. It's going to burst through the muscle fibers, and you're going to get what they call purge or drip loss. And when you open the bag or whatever you've contained it in, there's liquid running around in there. That's liquid that came out of the fish. Now, it's not disastrous because there's a lot of liquid in there to begin with. You've lost a little bit of it, but it's still measurable. The very best seafood purveyors catch the fish and either freeze it right at sea in a really low temperature freezer, which makes small crystals, so there's very little purge, or when it hits the docks, they gut it, scale it, fillet it, whatever they're going to do with it, and then they rapid blast freeze it. This spring, about 4 or 5 months ago, when COVID first hit, my wife and I subscribed to a service called Sitka Salmon Shares. That's the name of it. Sitka, Sitka Salmon Shares. Sitka is a city in Alaska.
Yes.
And this is essentially a co-op where they have a number of fishermen who go out. They're independent fishermen. They come back. They bring in their fish, and they blast freeze, and they ship around the country. And for a fee, I forget what it is, but you get 5 pounds of fish a month. And we've been just delighted with the quality. Very little purge, or when you open the shrink wrap. Now, and by the way, I hope everybody out here knows, I have never taken a nickel from anybody to endorse a product. This is not a paid endorsement. It's a product I bought that I'm just delighted with. Being a Floridian stuck in Chicago, getting this marvelous cod, sablefish, salmon, 5 pounds a month shipped from this company. Really impressed. Check into it. If you're a member of our Pitmaster Club, they offered a $25 discount on the subscription to members of our Pitmaster Club.
Nice.
But if you can't get really, really fresh fish, then look for fish that has been blast frozen. It's the next best thing. Now, how do you cook it? It's really good on the grill. We all know anything you cook indoors, you can cook outdoors, only better. And the flavor of flame and smoke really enhances fish. It adapts well to those flavors. Problem is that you're going to cook fish to 125 to 130 degrees. You don't want to go a lot higher. That is rare for a steak or, that's really fast cooking. So you're not going to get a lot of smoke flavor in there. And one of the techniques that we discovered, we invented actually, is we went to our friend Brad Barrett, who makes grill grates. And Greg, if you can pull up a picture of what grill grates look like.
Everybody knows what grill grates look like for crying out loud. It's like the most popular thing. Come on.
Yeah, it's a device that has valleys. And one of the things we told Brad about is we started throwing pellets or sawdust into the valleys. And Greg is the one who named this technique close proximity smoking. What happens is the pellets start smoking, but they're only a half inch below the fish. So now you can put a layer of smoke on fish that's going to cook in 15 minutes, yet it still comes out golden, and you've got a really nice smoke flavor to it. It's a really good technique. You need to check it out. I write about it on AmazingRibs.com. I think Brad's been writing about it on his site. But it's a really great technique. And the first fish I did it with was Chilean sea bass. Now, Greg mentioned Chilean sea bass earlier. There's a number of bass breeds out there. I mean, you've got largemouth bass and smallmouth bass, which are lake fish, in freshwater fish, and then there's sea bass. But the Chilean sea bass actually was called Patagonia toothfish. And they just decided that's a pretty hard name to market, Patagonia toothfish. So they named it Chilean sea bass. It's probably the most expensive fish on the market, and that's with good cause. It's going to be at least $35-40 a pound.
Wow.
But it's a very beautiful, white, thick flake, tender and juicy fish, and it's just awesome. I know that's a lot of money to spend. It's like buying Wagyu beef.
Do they come in? Do they come in like pound portions, or will you go to a fishmonger and say, "I want X many pounds of Patagonian toothfish"?
Well, Chilean sea bass is what most people call it now, and yeah, I think typically the portions are like 8-12 ounces. They're, the size of my fist or something. Yeah. They can be fairly thick, and you'd like that. Anybody who's really into grilling knows thicker the better. Thin foods cook way fast and tend to be overcooked in the center before the exterior browns or gets flavored. So try for a thick piece, and you probably have to go to a specialty fish market. I'm in a big city. If you're in a rural area, you might have trouble finding it. If you can't, try to find I don't know where you buy it. The Sitka salmon shares, I don't think they offer it because it's a warmer water fish. But if you can get your hands on it, it really is worthwhile, and it really adapts well to this rapid smoke flavoring, or just grilling it. Now, when you just grill it, if you throw it on your grill, the age-old problem, everybody has this with fish, is the protein in the fish just falls in love with the metal on your grate, and it won't let go. And it's just really hard. Another reason why I like grill grates is they have these spatulas that you can reach under, and they lift the fish off the grate. And again, let me please stress, I'm not paid to say this. I just like this product. But it really is good for seafood. If you're going to cook fish, one of the best techniques to keep it from sticking is mayonnaise. Now, I know there's just a lot of people, I run into this all the time, who just are grossed out by mayonnaise. It reminds them of pus or something. I don't know. But they're disgusted by the concept of mayonnaise. But it's mostly just oil. Mayonnaise is oil and egg yolks with a little lemon and salt. It's mostly oil, but it's a thick oil, and you spread this on the fish, and it doesn't really make much of a flavor on the fish at all. You can't taste it, but it really helps keep the fish from sticking. So you coat the fish really heavily. Well, first you want to season the fish. So you salt it, and then you put your rub on it. I like herbs, particularly tarragon, thyme, tarragon especially. We've got a really nice seafood rub recipe called Marietta's Fish Rub on our website. And sprinkle that on, and then just a thick layer of mayonnaise, and you lay it down and just wait till it lets go. Don't try to pry it up. I mean, that's true for all meats. Just it will let go eventually. And when it lets go, you flip it over. And you want to watch your internal temperature. 130, 135 at the most. A lot of people like 125. You don't want to overcook. It depends on what your tastes are. I like it 125. My wife wants it a little more cooked, so I put hers on first. We just did a Zoom seminar for our Pitmaster Club, and we had Brad and Brooke from the shed in Mississippi, who they're fishermen, and a guy from Sitka Salmon shares, another guy from the West Coast, all talking about seafood. And Brooke from the shed was talking about an interesting technique I'd never heard of, where they'll take fish and fillet it, but they'll leave the skin and the scales on, and she'll cook it one side only, scale side down, and lid down, so it will roast from above, smoke circulating inside, and the scales and the skin act like a buffer, and she calls it on the half shell. And when you pull it off, the meat comes off the skin really easily. I've noticed that too. I've never left the scales on when I've done it. And that's a really interesting technique that she shared with us.
So are you excited enough to try that on your own?
You bet I will.
All right.
I've got a load of salmon from Sitka in my freezer now, but the next time I can, I'm going to try that. Absolutely. Yeah, the problem is I'm stuck here in the Midwest. I mean, I go fishing, and if I catch a crappie, I have caught 5-pound largemouth bass in these fresh waters, but it's rare, and I just miss being on the coast.
All right, Meathead, you want to take a couple Facebook questions quickly before we run you off? All right, let's go to, looks like Julie Reinhardt has something to say. Says, we happen to grill fresh halibut tonight on the Big Green Egg because this time of year it goes down to $15.95 from 25 or 30 pounds. By we, I mean my husband cooked it while I drank wine with his mom on Zoom. It was perfect. All right.
Yeah, well, you're up in Seattle.
That's right.
I mean, Seattle, Oregon, and halibut is a cold water fish. And like the fruits, I think, in general, your cold water fishes are more interesting because they're fattier. And particularly when you get down around the belly. The belly flaps are fatty because they protect the organs. So, for some people it may be too fatty, but salmon, belly salmon is just really unctuous.
All right, next remark coming in from Dino Dan Smoking. I cooked a ribeye in an air fryer, and I liked it. How do we feel about that, Meathead? You like that?
Well, now I know why you didn't like my damn song.
That's right. Good for you, Dino Dan. You're allowed to cook in whatever you want. No problem. Big Al.
All right, let's give him a break. First of all, air fryers have nothing to do with frying. Right. I mean, the physics here is it's just a really good convection oven.
Yes.
I mean, you've got hot air, and it's blowing fast. And the beauty of blowing air across something is that when you put a cold piece of meat into an oven, there's a layer of cold air on the surface of the meat.
Right.
And it just sits there. And if you put the fan on it, it'll blow the cold air away and the hot air in contact with it. So it cooks faster. Well, these air fryers just blow the air really fast, really hard. You've got a high temperature. So you've got a high temperature, but it's like a broiler. And basically that's what a grill is it's an inverted broiler. You got the flame down below instead of from above as in a broiler. So you're getting some of that effect in it. I still think that, if you're going to do a ribeye, and, by the way, we've talked, you and I, Greg, about sous vide. I've given up on sous videing ribeyes and the best steaks because you know what? They don't improve it that much. If you're going to do sous vide, use your tough cuts, use your rump cuts and your even brisket. But ribeye, I mean, for me, it's a grilling food. And by the way, do you have that video? Have we got time to do the video?
No, we don't have time now.
Oh my God. Let me tell everybody real quickly. I grill flank steak over twigs of grapevines, and it takes 10 minutes maybe at well over 1,000 degrees. I just posted a video on this, youtube.com/amazingribs. It's a 5-minute video. You've got to go see
Very impressive.
how I cook this flank steak. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you can get twigs of fruit wood, hardwood, or nutwood, you want to try this technique. It's a technique I learned in France, and it really is awesome.
All right, answer this last question, Meathead, from Big Al. Any thoughts on cooking ribs hot and fast with a vortex in a Weber kettle? Cut the ribs, rub, and put on a grill like wings. Seen a couple people say they've liked it, and they have tried it. Your thoughts on that?
Well, a basic rule of meat science is high temperatures shrink the muscle fibers. When muscle fibers shrink, they squeeze out juices, and you get drier food. Now, when I first started getting into barbecue, everybody used to say Dreamland in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, was the worst barbecue joint in America because they grill them hot and fast over direct heat. And I just got tired of hearing all this dissing. And even though I'm a Gator and I hate the Crimson Tide with a passion,
Of course.
I went to Tuscaloosa, went to Dreamland, and fell in love with the ribs, even though they're grilled hot and fast, because they had a flavor like a steak. They were the meat on the exterior got that Maillard effect flavor, and the fat seared. So you'll get some really interesting flavor. You'll drive off moisture, but with ribs and other fatty cuts, the real juiciness often comes from the fat, not from the water. So you might want to try it. I'm still a fan of low and slow ribs. I've often said I don't bother with the Texas crutch because it's too much trouble, and I love a good bark. But I've been crutching lately, and my wife is in love with those ribs, so I'm backing off on my Texas crutch.
Rob Bass says that he believes Dreamland is great too, and
I love Dreamland, and that was the point.
The three of us also hate Alabama.
Yeah, for years Dreamland was just dragged through the mud because all the barbecue snobs. And by the way, there's an awful lot of barbecue snobs out there.
You're talking.
We're saying that they just are not cooking indirectly, and therefore it's not real barbecue, and that was just not the case.
That's right. You can find Meathead right here on the second Tuesday of every month. In the meantime, please hit him up on social media. He's waiting there with bated breath to take you on.
I do. By the way, I hate social media, but I personally do all the tweeting and the response. I get a little testy sometimes. I just posted a recipe for Syracuse salt potatoes, and somebody asked me, is there a low sodium version?
Oh, dear.
The recipe is called salt potatoes, you idiot.
That's right. Salt potatoes. Yeah. Find him on amazingribs.com or at social medias, but more importantly, the second Tuesday of the month right here. Meathead, always appreciate the time, pal.
Always fun to talk to you, Greg. And let me say hello to my buddy Doug and your remote correspondent who has recently been concussed.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You can talk about Doug, but Doug's okay. I just talked to him today.
All right. Well, I'm sure he appreciates the well wishes, and we'll talk to you again next month. There's Meathead, everybody. Right there. Meathead is right there from amazingribs.com, and we'll just turn this into a quick transition. All right. We'll turn this into a quick transition. How quick? This quick. Stand by as we close the first hour.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey. I don't have enough time to roll through it here, but that's all right. Lance Owen Owens. I've given up on sous vide. Thanks to Meathead and Greg, I have another gadget stored above the icebox. What's that? What do you have stored above the icebox, Lance? Okay, we're back right after this. Stick around.
This is Doug Scheiding of Rogue Cookers.